Salazar, and I have been an advocate at the federal level for 5 years. For the last 5 years, I've traveled back and forth to Washington, D.C. to advocate for things like paid family and medical leave, Medicaid, Medicaid expansion, and Medicaid-funded programs like early intervention and early Head Start. Because those are things that affect everyone right here, whether it affects you or someone you know or someone you're related to. But beyond just advocating, for the last 5 years, I've had the distinct pleasure of training one family from every state, including Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico, on how to be advocates. And lucky for you today, you've taken the first step to becoming an advocate for a lifelong journey. Because you've showed up today and you put your story, just a small tidbit of your story, on your signs that you are sharing with all of us and everyone that drives by. And that's exactly what advocacy is. See, advocacy is going to the park where your child plays and seeing a mom that is struggling and saying, hey mama, I see that you need a break. I can watch your child for just a second while you get a breath. That's advocacy. Advocacy is seeing the older gentleman walking down the Walmart aisle and saying hi. And instead of saying, how you doing, and you keep walking, you say, how are you doing? And you stop and you listen. Because you might hear him say that I am on a fixed income and my electric bill went from being historically $100 to $500 and I don't know how I'm going to buy the food here today. That is advocacy. See, you being here and sharing your stories and sharing your struggles actually fights back against the narrative that we've been taught since we were little, which is you don't talk about your wages. You don't talk about your problems, and you pull yourselves up by your bootstraps and you figure it out on your own. But that is where we came today at No Kings. Because No Kings is not just saying that you have a throne and a golden crown to put on your head. When we say No Kings, what we actually mean is that our city council, our school board, our state representative, and our federal representatives are actually working for us and not selling out our interests to the highest bidder. See, for far too long, I have been here in this position as a young mother, as a teacher, as just someone in the community, hearing our elected officials who have gotten too comfortable with their positions because we don't ask them enough questions. Because we don't talk enough about our problems so that they know that these are actual problems of everybody. And I mean from things like the pothole in the road that we all run over and is slowly ruining our cars, down to our schools being defunded because St. Angelo only gets $6,300 for every student, but school vouchers are taking $10,500 from your school district. That is what we are talking about. We are talking about our officials have gotten too comfortable with their power, the highest bidder, and us not asking questions. And today you've taken that first step. But I want you to walk away from today of not just saying that we don't need Trump, that we don't need Pfluger, that we don't need Darby, that we don't need our school and city council because they're selling us out to data centers. What I want you to walk away from today is I want you to walk away with a ripple. Because I don't care if we have a blue wave or a red wave in November. What I want you to do today is start a ripple of advocacy. I want you to talk to the person next to you today and start asking them how they're doing and actually listen. Instead of saying stop to smell the flowers or the roses, I want you to stop and hear what they have to say, because sometimes they're not going to be okay. And sometimes you don't have to fix that for them. You just have to send them to the organization that is waiting for them to help them. Okay? I'm not saying you have to be a fixer or a therapist. I'm saying we just need to stand up and start talking about things so that we understand that our teachers here in St. Angelo, when they start out at Angelo ISD, that they make less than $50,000 a year, and they're expected to give you, your children, a warm, comfortable, inviting educational environment out of their own pocket. But we wouldn't know that if we don't talk about the hard things. We wouldn't know that if we're not asking each other questions and we're being advocates through and through. So today, I want you to be that advocate because you took the first step. Tomorrow, I want you to be that advocate and just saying hi and smiling. We have been in survival mode for 30 years here in Texas. Since Ann Richards left office, Texas has slowly declined to where we are last in education, we are last in healthcare access, and if you have a special needs child, you're probably having to take 2 days off of work to go to Dallas just to get that care. Okay? That's not okay. But our elected officials don't know that because we don't hold them accountable. So tomorrow I want you to start asking questions. I want you to ask how someone's doing, and I want you to actually just listen. Because when you do that, you give people that confidence that they'll start doing it too, and we create that ripple. We can't have a wave without that ripple first. We need to be advocates, and I hope that today that gives you that courage.